Hey y'all! Today I'm in historic downtown Paris, Tennessee, to visit the grave of John Wesley Crockett, the son of legendary frontiersman and defender of the Alamo, David Crockett, or better known in popular culture as Davy Crockett. While I'm in town, I thought I'd show you some of the cool murals and paintings here. These all depict historic stories and people from Paris, and of course, the Eiffel Tower. This certain mural is really interesting to me, and I'll be doing a separate video on this story soon. It's about two shootings that were connected that happened on the same day in the late 1800s. It involves the sons of a former governor of Tennessee. It's a really interesting story, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with y'all. Look, even the garbage dumpsters are painted and prettied up. They look like vintage postcards. That one says Historic Downtown Paris. And Greetings from Paris, Tennessee, with the historic courthouse in the background. This is one for E.W. Grove, the maker of Grove's Tasteless Chill Tonic, and the subject of a future video as well. This is the old train depot. And that brings us to the old Paris City Cemetery. And I'm sorry, this video is going to be a little jumpy here. I was accidentally shooting in slow motion, and I had to speed it up in the editing, but it'll smooth out when I get in the cemetery. And this is the marker for John Wesley, and a photo of his father, David Crockett. John was the firstborn child of David and Polly Crockett. On the way to his gravesite, I'll give you a brief tour of this old cemetery. The plaque on the fence says this wrought iron fencing was removed from the original courthouse lawn in 1894. It is very fitting for this cemetery and adds a lot of character and more interest, I think. So let's walk in and take a look around. The first plot we'll come to is that of Benjamin and Lucy Brown. Lucy died in 1874, and Benjamin, who was a mayor of Paris in the 1840s, died the following year in 1875. There's a 17-year-old boy by the name of John buried beside them, and I don't know why. I can't pronounce his last name, but I'll put it on the screen. But maybe he was without family and they donated the plot to him. I really don't know. This is the Hicks family plot, and their son James Wade Hicks. He was just 6 years old. And I love these old cradle graves. They were meant to be planted with flowers. And Elmwood Cemetery in Memphis, Tennessee has many of these graves, and they are all planted and beautifully maintained by the Memphis area master gardeners. And this is a really pretty section of the cemetery. I love all the old trees around. It looks like some of the whiter stones have been cleaned recently. It really makes them stand out. And this is John Forney Cabot, died 1884. And this is the family plot of E.W. Grove, the chill tonic maker. And he did a lot of interesting things and was a self-made millionaire after starting out as a poor clerk in a Paris pharmacy. And I'll be doing a story on him in the future. He was born in 1850 and died in 1927. And this old plot does need some attention, but it's George and Elizabeth Porter. And both died young at ages 30 and 28 in 1845 and 1847. Okay, here we are coming to the John Wesley Crockett gravesite. He was born in 1807, and as I mentioned earlier, was the firstborn child of David and Polly Finley Crockett. After David died at the Alamo, John represented the same congressional district as his father from 1837 to 1841. He was born in East Tennessee, and his mother died in 1815 when John was just 8 years old. He was raised by his stepmother, Elizabeth. He studied law and was admitted to the bar and started his law practice here in Paris. He married Martha Hamilton from Paris, and they had 14 children. Martha died in 1873 and is buried in Arkansas at Crockett's Bluff Cemetery. Her brother-in-law, John's brother, William Finley Crockett, and his wife, Clorinda, are buried there as well. His obituary reads, "Death of the Honorable John W. Crockett. The announcement of the death of this distinguished gentleman will be heard with sadness and regret by every citizen." But more on his obituary in a moment. Beside him is one of his daughters, Peytonia Bell Crockett Davis. I love her name, Peytonia Bell. And this is her funeral notice, where friends and acquaintances were respectfully invited to attend the funeral at the family residence on Dunlap Street in Paris. And this is her photo. She was only 5 years old when John passed away. Their headstones are in serious need of cleaning, and I'm going to reach out and ask permission to clean them. And here's John's original stone. It's chipped and almost unreadable. But I found a photo on Find a Grave dated 2017 where you can see them better. This is another daughter of John's, Susan Crockett Taylor, born 1851, died 1885. She was only 1 year old when her father passed. And this is her son, David Crockett Taylor, named after his great-grandfather. He died young at only 20 years old. And this is the grave of her husband, Captain T.H. Taylor. And we'll take one last look around, and then we'll head across the Tennessee River to nearby Dover, Tennessee. You may remember this church and cemetery from a video on my other channel, Hiking Over History. It was the video on the Skinner Brandon home, and the Brandon sisters are also buried here in this historic cemetery. One of John Crockett's sons, Charles Walton Crockett, he was born 1849 to 1920. And he was only 3 years old at the time of his father's passing, but he lived in Dover for a time and was the owner and editor of a Dover newspaper called the Weekly Courier. 7 of his children were born here in Stewart County, and 2 of them are buried here. They moved to Robertson County about 1890. These are the great-grandchildren of Davy Crockett. Davy Crockett, born February 21st, 1884, died September 3rd, 1886, age 2. And this is his brother, Robert Lyles Crockett, born March 3rd, 1880, died August 30th, 1886, at age 6. I'm not sure what caused it, but they both became sick and died within a few days of each other. It was written that Charles had no place to bury his children, and so the Martin family donated these plots to them. You can see Martin headstones in the background. And now more from his obituary. John W. Crockett was the worthy son of the late David Crockett. With an accomplished education, quick perception, and vigorous mind, he was enabled in early manhood to take a high position in the profession he had adopted, and the people of West Tennessee will long remember him as an able and successful lawyer. After serving in Congress, he declined another election and removed to New Orleans to become the editor of a daily paper. After several years in New Orleans, Mr. Crockett returned to his native state and again commenced the vigorous prosecution of his profession in the city of Memphis. In just a few months, he secured an excellent practice, and by his kindness of heart, social disposition, and noble qualities had attracted around him a host of warm and admiring friends. We knew him well and loved him for his many virtues. Peace to his ashes. Mr. Crockett died at Memphis of pneumonia on the night of the 24th, 1852.